You might believe that after decades under the blinding lights of Hollywood, there would be nothing left to uncover about its golden age icons. But even legends like Robert Redford, forever etched in our minds as the Sundance Kid, still hold secrets behind their carefully composed exteriors. For years, fans and critics tried to piece together the man behind the magnetism, the mystery behind that quiet smile. And now, at 87, Redford is finally opening the door to the shadows of his past, revealing personal reflections, hidden struggles, and long-held secrets he once kept locked away. In this video, we delve deep into those revelations, uncovering the private world of one of cinema's most enduring figures, born Charles Robert Redford Jr. on August 18, 1936, in sun-drenched Santa Monica, California. Redford's early years were marked not by glamour, but by struggle. At the tender age of 11, he was diagnosed with polio, a battle that would shape not only his body, but also his spirit. It was during this harrowing time that he developed a resilience, a quiet strength that would follow him through every chapter of his life. Tragedy struck again when he was just 18. His mother, Martha Hart Redford, the person who had been his anchor, passed away from septicemia. The loss was shattering, left a permanent mark on Redford's soul, influencing his emotional depth and the path his life would take from that moment forward. Despite the weight of grief and early adversity, Redford found solace in creativity and motion in art, in sports, and stories. He enrolled at the University of Colorado on a baseball scholarship, a promising athlete with dreams ahead. But those dreams were briefly derailed. Struggling with alcohol and unable to find his footing, he lost his scholarship and his place at the university. But he did not collapse under the weight of failure. Instead, he wandered. He left the United States and traveled through Europe, a young man searching for meaning in unfamiliar cities. And in that search, he discovered not just the world but himself. He came back, changed, with an artist's heart and a fire that would not be extinguished. Returning to the U.S., Redford enrolled at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. It was there, in the shadows of the stage and the pulse of live performance, that he began to shape his craft. The late 1950s brought his first steps into theater, humble, honest beginnings that would lead to a remarkable future. His breakthrough came with Neil Simon's Barefoot in the Park, where he played the earnest, endearing newlywed Paul Bratter. That role became a gateway, launching him into the hearts of theatergoers and, soon, film lovers. But it was Butch Cassidy in The Sundance Kid in 1969 that immortalized him. In the role of the Sundance Kid, Redford didn't just act, he radiated. His chemistry with Paul Newman lit up the screen, their banter and brotherhood pulling audiences in and never letting go. Together, they created something timeless to outlaws, full of charm and recklessness, navigating a world that was changing too fast for them to catch. That film didn't just make Robert Redford a star, it made him a symbol of cool defiance, of thoughtful rebellion, of the aching beauty that lies behind every great American myth in a shifting era of American cinema. One film captured the imagination of an entire generation, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, with a plot full of suspense, charm, and sharp, witty dialogue. It was more than just a Western. It was a cinematic revolution, and at the heart of its magic was the undeniable chemistry between two acting giants, Paul Newman and Robert Redford. Redford's performance didn't just win over audiences, it cemented his place in Hollywood as more than a handsome face. He was a storyteller, soul that audiences could connect with. Producers began to see what viewers had already felt. This was an actor who could carry films and carry them far straight to box office success. That film became a springboard, launching Redford into a decade of dominance throughout the 1970s. With each new role, he peeled back another layer of his artistry. In The Sting, Redford reunited with Newman, and the result was electric. Set in the con-filled world of the 1930s, Redford's portrayal of Johnny Hooker, a charismatic, street-smart grifter, earned him an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. The film swept the Academy Awards, winning 7 Oscars including Best Picture. And it reaffirmed what many already knew. Robert Redford wasn't just popular, he was powerful. But behind the scenes, Redford wasn't without flaws. Filming The Sting was reportedly slowed by his chronic lateness. According to stories shared on The Hollywood Reporter's It Happened in Hollywood podcast, Redford would sometimes arrive nearly 40 minutes late to set. Paul Newman, ever the professional, eventually called him out. It was a wake-up call, but punctuality would remain one of Redford's quiet battles throughout his career. The pattern persisted. On the set of the Milagro Beanfield War in 1988, a film Redford directed and produced, screenwriter David S. Ward recalled how crew members would wait until late morning for Redford. Even actor Cheech Marin later recounted how he waited days just to audition at Sundance. Redford's brilliance at times came with its burdens, yet no one could deny his impact. Not just as an actor, but as a visionary. His role in All the President's Men was a turning point, both professionally and politically. Redford didn't just portray journalist Bob Woodward. He produced the film too. It was a cinematic retelling of one of America's darkest political scandals, Watergate. The movie earned 4 Academy Awards and served as a powerful tribute to journalistic integrity and the role of the press in a democracy. Then came Out of Africa in 1985, a sweeping, romantic epic set in colonial Kenya, starring alongside Meryl Streep. Redford brought to life Denise Finch Hatton, a poetic, adventurous soul. The film, based on Karen Blixen's memoir, captured the wild beauty of Africa and the fragile beauty of human love. It won 7 Oscars, including Best Picture. Through it, Redford didn't just entertain, he moved audiences, quietly reminding the world of the depth he could bring to the screen. But Redford's true evolution was yet to come. In 1980, he stepped behind the camera for the first time with Ordinary People, the film a poignant exploration of grief, guilt, and fractured family bonds, won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. Redford, once seen as just a matinee idol, had proven himself as a masterful storyteller. His direction was gentle, insightful, and deeply human. He continued this journey with A River Runs Through It in 1992, an adaptation of Norman Maclean's novel. Set in the tranquil beauty of Montana, the film explored the complex ties between 2 brothers and their stern yet loving father. It was more than a film, it was a meditation on life's loss, awe, and the delicate threads that hold families together. Then came Quiz Show in 1994, where Redford's passion for truth and ethical tension took center stage once again. Based on the real-life quiz show scandals of the 1950s, it examined the moral price of fame and deception. The film was another critical triumph and earned Redford another Oscar nomination for Best Director. Now, at 87, Robert Redford has begun to look back with honesty, humility, and reflection. In recent interviews, he has spoken candidly about fame, its rewards, and its heavy cost. The lights may shine, but they also burn. One of the more surprising admissions: Redford rarely watches his own movies. In a 2015 interview with Today, he revealed a simple, almost endearing reason. As a boy in a tough Los Angeles neighborhood, he and his friends would go to the movies not to admire them, but to mock them. That habit stuck. Even today, the thought of seeing himself on screen still feels too close, too raw, too exposed. Robert Redford has delivered unforgettable performances, but the truth is, he can barely watch them himself. That discomfort, the unease of seeing his own face on the screen, runs deep. He once confessed that watching himself feels unnatural, even unsettling. It's not vanity's vulnerability, and that vulnerability speaks volumes about a man who, despite becoming one of the most recognized faces in film history, never quite felt at home with fame. In fact, Redford has long spoken about the hidden dangers of celebrity culture. He once described the journey of fame in 3 haunting stages. First, becoming an object to others, then seeing yourself as that object. Finally, if you're not careful, losing yourself to that identity altogether. It's a warning born not from cynicism, but experience. In a rare and heartfelt conversation with his grandson, Walker Redford reflected on his meteoric rise after Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He admitted how quickly the fame came, how overwhelming it was, and how he had to devise a personal strategy, his own quiet resistance. to protect his sense of self amid the glare of public life. He chose humility, he chose balance, he chose, whenever possible, to disappear into nature and into his family. But even away from the camera, Redford's life was far from free of pain. In 1958, he married Lola Van Wagenen, and together they had 4 children. Their family was built on love, but also marked by profound loss. His first child, Scott, died from sudden infant death syndrome SIDS only a few months after birth. It was a heartbreak no young parent should ever have to endure, one that would remain etched in Redford's heart for the rest of his life. That early loss shaped his worldview, gave him a kind of quiet depth, a tender strength, and a resolve to place the personal before the professional always. Then, 2020, tragedy struck again. Redford's son James, a gifted filmmaker and environmental advocate, passed away from bile duct cancer at the age of 58. The news broke hearts around the world, but it shattered Redford's. A family representative, Cindy Berger, shared that the family was going through an incredibly painful time and asked for privacy. James, known to those closest to him as Jaime, was described as a devoted son, husband, and father. He had faced a lifetime of health challenges stemming from a rare autoimmune liver disease, primary sclerosing cholangitis. Diagnosed in 1993, he underwent 2 liver transplants before dedicating his life to awareness and advocacy. Out of that suffering, created purpose. James founded the James Redford Institute for Transplant Awareness, aiming to educate and inspire. Then in 2005, he partnered with his father to establish the Redford Centera, non-profit dedicated to empowering filmmakers who spotlight environmental issues. It was a bond between father and son, not just of blood, but of shared values and vision. James left behind a wife of 32 years, Kyle, and 2 children, Dylan and Lena. They were his anchors. And through them and through his work he lives on, despite the towering fame he achieved. Redford always tried to shield his children from the glare of Hollywood. He enrolled them in regular schools far from film sets and red carpets. Didn't want them raised as the children of a movie star. He wanted them to know real life, to grow in the soil of authenticity. That desire to protect family remained a constant through his career. He often spoke of the struggle to balance fatherhood with the demands of filmmaking. In 1985, after decades of marriage, Redford and Van Wagenen divorced. 6 years later, he found lasting companionship with Sebiel Chagers, an artist and environmentalist with whom he's built a quiet life away from the spotlight. Redford has said that more than awards or accolades, his greatest ambition was to be a good father, a trustworthy man, solid presence. But life had other plans, and the grief of losing his children and close family members, including his parents and a beloved uncle he once idolized, took a toll. You can feel that grief in his work. It seeps into the stories he chooses to tell stories. About loss, about healing, about the fragility and resilience of the human spirit. In 1981, in the wake of personal and professional evolution, Redford founded the Sundance Institute. What began as a small initiative to support independent filmmakers grew into a cultural force. The Sundance Film Festival, nestled in the mountains of Park City, Utah. It was Redford's answer to Hollywood's commercial machine, a sanctuary. For bold, uncompromising storytelling, Sundance wasn't just a festival. It was a dream, a rebellion, a gift to future generations of storytellers. And more than anything, it was Redford's legacy in motion, nurturing voices that might otherwise go unheard. Robert Redford has never followed the crowd, and as a director, he gravitated toward unconventional projects that mainstream Hollywood often overlooked. That quiet defiance gave birth to one of his most enduring contributions to the film world, the Sundance Film Festival. What began as a haven for independent filmmakers, those like Redford, driven more by passion than profit, has grown into the largest independent film festival in the United States. Sundance changed the rules. It gave voice to the outsiders, the visionaries, and the rule breakers. It brought stories from the margins into the spotlight. Through Sundance, Redford helped launch the careers of now legendary directors Quentin Tarantino, whose Reservoir Dogs shook the festival circuit, and Steven Soderbergh, whose Sex Lies and Videotape won the Audience Award in 1989 and changed the landscape of indie cinema. These weren't just success stories. They were revolutions. But Sundance didn't stop at fiction. It became a sanctuary for truth-tellers, documentarians, tackling urgent, complex issues. Films like An Inconvenient Truth and The Cove didn't just win awards, they sparked global conversations. Sundance gave these stories a stage and in doing so, helped them change the world at its core. Sundance reflects Redford's unwavering belief in artistic integrity and creative freedom. The diversity of voices it uplifts has helped nurture a new generation of fearless filmmakers unafraid to dream, to challenge, and to reshape the narrative. Yet Redford's impact reaches far beyond the silver screen. His legacy is just as powerful in activism as it is in art. Since the 1970s, he has used his platform to advocate for environmental conservation, political transparency, and Native American rights. He became an early voice in the anti-nuclear movement, rallying public opinion against the construction of nuclear power plants in California. His advocacy helped influence the creation of stricter energy regulations and the advancement of renewable alternatives. Redford's voice carried not just into the press but into policy. He testified before Congress multiple times, urging stronger environmental protections and action against climate change. He played a crucial role in raising national awareness against the Keystone 40 pipeline, warning of its devastating ecological consequences. His persistent efforts contributed to the eventual halting of the project. But Redford's dedication wasn't just to the planet, it was to its people. He has been a steadfast supporter of Native American communities, championing their autonomy and culture. One of his notable contributions was helping establish the Native American Preparatory School in New Mexico, offering education and opportunity to Native youth. Through this and other initiatives, he's ensured that marginalized voices are not only heard, but empowered. Through film, through policy, through passion, Redford has used his influence to protect what he values most: truth, nature, dignity, and storytelling. In recent years, Redford has opened up about his life, his journey, his choices, and the legacy he hopes to leave behind. In candid interviews, he's admitted that fame has always been a paradox. Being a star, he said, can be a curse. But having a voice, that's the real privilege. He's never been interested in the glitter of stardom. He'd rather be remembered not for the roles he played, but for the change he helped create. I hope to be known, he once said, as someone who kept learning and teaching, not just acting. Reflecting on his decades-long career, Redford shared that each role he took was more than a job, it was a chapter in his life. And with the wisdom of age, he wouldn't change a thing. Looking back, I wouldn't change the script. Now in his twilight years, Redford speaks with a gentle grace about the passing of time. Age has brought me wisdom, he said, and the ability to let go of what I can't control. There's peace in that acceptance, peace earned through a life fully lived, though he stepped back from the spotlight. Robert Redford remains a quiet force, one who has shaped not just cinema, but culture and conscience. His story is one of art and activism, loss and love, solitude and legacy. And as we look back on his extraordinary journey, we see a man who didn't just act in front of the camera, but who acted on behalf of the world behind it. Thank you for joining us. If you're ready to explore another remarkable story, be sure to click on the next video that appears on your screen.